Welcome to the Owning Your Sexual Self podcast, a place for you to listen and explore all things surrounding sex positivity. I'm your host, Rachel Main, sex therapist and educator, intimacy coach, awesome wife to my husband, Danny, board of directors member and team leader with Pure Romance, and best of all, a work-from-home dog mom to my favorite pups, Bane and Tater. After starting my Pure Romance business, I quickly learned how much sexuality education was lacking within my community and how much shame was placed on things like fantasies, masturbation, and sexual dysfunctions. I'm on a mission to make this world a more sex-positive place, and with this podcast, I hope to reach thousands of people. I'll bring real-life experiences to the surface and normalize them by offering a non-judgmental view. If you can get down with that, then tune in every Monday and let's change this fucking world. First ever male podcast guest. I am so excited to introduce you all today to Michael Gibson. He and I are in the Sex and Love University, which is the coaching program that you've heard me talk about for quite some time now. And Michael has been in the work of sex coaching for quite some time now. So when I asked him what he was most excited to share about on today's podcast, his response was relationship dynamics and why couples are an endangered species. This is amazing, you guys. In the work that I've heard from him in the last several months, I can tell you that you are about to be blown away today. So Michael is a sex and happiness coach and also the creator of the Extraordinary Lovers Academy for Couples. He has studied and practiced sexual healing through Tantra for over 10 years. Not kidding, I told you, tons of experience coming to you today. Through the online workshops and private coaching, couples learn what is truly needed in relating to one another and how to provide love and pleasure consistently. This work opens a path to modern relationships, which is the ability to walk in the world as conscious, sensual lovers who understand the needs of their partner or partners. Who is excited for today? Give me a hell yes. All right. Hey, Michael. Thanks again for being on today. I'm super excited.
So glad to be here.
Yeah, so I just realized I did not tell the people where you're from. So tell us where you're from right now, because obviously you're not in Michigan, and then just give us a little background about how you got into this work.
Well, I'm from Phoenix, Arizona, and I have lived here for the last 32 years. And how I got into this work was, at the end of a tragic divorce. I found myself in a place of wanting to be with another woman, and how to do that was very, it was elusive to me. I didn't know how was I ever going to find love again? I just exited this incredibly stressful and abusive relationship. And to my ex-wife's credit, she divorced me. I wasn't the best husband at all. But I also thank her for doing that, because it forced me to look at myself and go through a lot of personal growth. And I found quite a few companies and had friends who invited me to come and try these courses out. And so I did. And moving through my life as I did, I began to work on, myself and how I would talk to women, and so I got involved in, the pickup artist scene. But I'm a little older, so I wasn't that kind of pickup artist. I wasn't a young, strapping 21-year-old with big muscles and, 6 foot, whatever. And so I had to rely on just, being able to have a good conversation. And as I did that, I fell in love with women. There was a time at which I was really upset with women, and because of my ex-wife doing what she did, I had this really hard, heart. But over time, I fell in love with women. And the more I fell in love with women, the more I began to realize how wrong I was about women. And so, yeah, I found myself becoming better at talking to women, and then also having, sexual encounters with women, and discovering how terrible I was in bed.
Oh my gosh. All the vulnerabilities today, Michael. Thank you.
I'm so sorry. Well, the story, at least the story gets better. Like, I'm a network engineer by trade, so I understand systems and how to do things and protocols and things like that. And so I applied that to my sex life, and I actually got better. And at one point I became so good that I started having these really amazing experiences connection wise with women, and it blew my mind. Well, how I got into this work, that's a long story to get to hear. Sorry about that. My daughter, my son and daughter, as they were growing up, I realized that I had to give them the talk. And so I gave them the talk. I gave my daughter the talk, and I realized how completely uneducated I was growing up, and how uneducated they are growing up around sex education. And so when I gave them the talk, it was very different than the talk I got from my mom.
Mm-hmm.
When I was a little boy, I asked my mom, I said, "Mommy, what is the birds and the bees?" I think I was 7. And she said, "Well, honey, the bees like to sting the birds, and the birds let them." And I went, "Okay."
That explains it all.
That was the sex talk from Mom. So I realized that, wow, if it was that bad for me, I wonder what it was like for other people. And I found out, I actually did surveys, to hundreds of people, women and men alike. And I discovered how bad the sex education is, not out of fault of the education system, the public school system, but out of fault of people just being very uncomfortable about having this conversation.
Yeah.
And so that's how I ended up in this work. And then I began to discover what was really missing for men and women. And I started teaching that. And I'm an expert. I feel like I'm an expert in what I do. However, I'm not formally trained. This is all experience and stuff that I've been writing down. And so it'll all find its way into a book eventually. But that's how I got here.
That's amazing. And I'm assuming from what you had submitted for your intro, that deeper connection experience, that's when you started to delve into the world of Tantra and connections through more of a spiritual manner, if you will.
Absolutely. Tantra was an awakening for me. A spiritual awakening, I would say, in many ways. But in Tantra, the interesting thing about Tantra is that it's very practical. A lot of people think of Tantra as a very spiritual and a very woo kind of practice, and it's not. It can be. The experience can be very spiritual. However, the practice of it is very, very simple, very practical. Tantra in and of itself is basically about weaving. And when we say weaving, we're talking about weaving certain elements of life. And that's what it's about. So when I say weaving, I mean breath, sound, and movement. These are all the components of life. Breath is life, sound is life, and movement is life. And they're also all evidences of life. And that's Tantra. So in Tantra, you learn these practices that really connect all three at one time. So there's breathing exercises, there's moving exercises, there's sound exercises, all the rest. You find that in yoga as well, which is really beautiful how they tie together. But yeah, Tantra was a huge part of my evolution.
That's awesome. And so another piece of that evolution is you've been doing a lot of couples retreats and a lot of couples workshops and things like that. So I'm curious, what are the biggest struggles that you're finding come up with the people that you work with?
Wow, relationships.
Yeah, right? Pretty basic.
The biggest struggle inside of relationships is that they are relationships. Couples, I find them to be I use this term, they're kind of an endangered species.
Yeah.
More and more we see that, we all know that 50% of all, marriages end in divorce, right? I wonder how many more partnerships end in divorce. I don't know the numbers there. We can only tell by doing a huge survey, but, and that would take years. But I think what's really interesting is that when we look at our relationships, we find ourselves in this thing. And so in this thing called relationship, right? When people look at you, oh, you have such a lovely relationship. Or when we're trying to figure out each other, are you in a relationship? Right, Rachel, if I was hitting on you in a bar, I'd be like, so are you married? Are you dating? I want to find out your relationship status.
Right.
And so, but we're in a relationship with everything in life. We're in a relationship with ourselves. We're in a relationship with our children. You have animals. You're in a relationship with your animals.
Mm-hmm.
You're in a relationship with your husband. Everything is a relationship. There's a relationship to money, right? Like we think of everything in terms of this thing called relationship. And then we identify it by saying, well, your relationship is good, bad, or, maybe non-existent. And so what I find that couples are really struggling with is this idea of my relationship sucks.
Mm.
And the reality is it doesn't. Your relationship is just an idea.
Mm.
It doesn't exist. What sucks is the way you relate to each other.
Yeah. And probably the comparison to other people whom you see are in relationships and thinking, man, I wish we were like that. I wish he would do that. I wish she would do that. Right.
Yeah. And the relationship is nothing more than a facade. I liken it unto a corporation, right? A corporation is a thing that people come together and they set up, right? So a relationship is simply that. It's like, here are the agreements. Well, here's the difference between a relationship and a corporation. In a corporation, all of the roles are determined. It's written down. The corporation has a purpose for being. There is an operational purpose for it and the way that it operates. And then there's also a goal for the monetization or the money that's to be brought in, the profit, right?
Right.
And so that's a corporation. But when we look at a relationship, which is very similar, we don't have any of those things. There's no roles defined.
Yeah.
There's no purpose. It's just like, I love you, you love me. We're supposed to love each other inside of this thing called a relationship.
Yeah.
It's just bizarre.
So much based on emotions that we feel, and sometimes our emotions they dirty our clarity, and we miss things, and it's like, yeah, do I like actually being with you? Do I actually love you, or do I like the idea of being with you and being in love with you? Yeah. In
our programs, I teach with a partner, and she's my partner, my beloved, and we have a quote unquote relationship, and we're in love, and we've been in love. I think we've been in love and out of love, but that's the key word, love. Like, what is love? And through my research, and it's I'm not going to tell you anything you don't already know, and your listeners probably know this too, but love is really simply the experience we have when oxytocin is released into our bloodstream. And there are ways there are things that we can do that release that oxytocin. One of the ways is to hug. A nice 10-second hug releases oxytocin into the bloodstream, and you feel love. When your dog sits on your lap, that's a feeling of love. Eye gazing, which is one of the tantric methods, releases oxytocin. All these different ways. Well, there's a great one that I love, which is orgasm. Orgasm has
preach it.
Orgasm has a high level release of oxytocin mixed with serotonin, mixed with dopamine, all the endorphins that the body needs to really have homeostasis. Like, it's just so necessary. So orgasms are a great way to get oxytocin. What happens is that throughout our relating, how we relate to each other, we stop having boundaries.
Yeah.
We stop speaking our truth. We know, because we're in a relationship. Oh, I don't want to step on anyone's toes, and all of a sudden there's eggshells everywhere, right? Yeah. We're trying not to step on. And in reality, I think the best relationships are those relationships where both people are individuals and sovereign, who know their boundaries, who express and communicate their boundaries clearly, and then also know how to return to that love, also know how to come out of that cortisol experience, which is usually what's causing the friction, and move back to the oxytocin experience, which is love. Now, this all sounds very clinical.
Very sciencey. Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah.
It's
And
good
there's a
though.
reason for that,
Yeah.
because it's real.
Yeah. Yeah.
It really actually does happen. Where we miss it, I think, in couples, and especially in couples modern day culture, is that we don't actively do those things. Like there's a hurt that was inflicted upon one, and there's a harm or a trauma that it was experienced, perhaps an infidelity or something like that, where we can no longer trust that person, we can no longer be with that person, we can, and now we have to dissolve the relationship. And here's what's interesting. Once you dissolve the relationship and you recover your sovereignty, all of a sudden you get along better with that person. I would pose this question to your audience. Have you ever had that experience where you had a breakup and all of a sudden you started liking that person again because they started treating you with respect and they started noticing your boundaries and they stopped, right?
Yeah.
I think what couples can learn to do is really to dissolve the relationship without the breakup. I don't want to be in relationship with you anymore, but I do want to relate to you and I do want to be in love with you. And it's a whole different concept. But if we can learn how to do that, and we can also learn how to activate the kind of hormones that create love, I think that couples got a shot. Unfortunately, we're not just couples anymore. Now we're thruples and we're poly and we're
more emotions into the mix. Yeah. And
complications
more people
arise. Yeah. I'm in an open relationship and like, it's so interesting to have all of these new definitions.
Yeah.
But no real training.
Yeah.
Like, how do I do this? I think there's a few people out there. In fact, there's one that was on HBO that had I think her name is Debbie. Oh gosh, I forgot her name. Debbie McClure. And she's amazing. And she was on HBO talking about polyamory and how to do it and how to do it right.
Yeah.
And, but that's very few and far in between. And how many people actually get access or even know those people exist?
Yeah.
What do we do in relationships? It's really, really important that we start to develop ourselves to return to love. It's a huge part of what it is to be in a partnership. And I think if we can learn to return to love, in spite of the hurt and the trauma and the harm, if we can learn to be extraordinary in the way that we return to love, I believe that couples really do have a chance.
Yeah.
And
sure. How would you, so if you're starting to work with a couple and they have gone through something traumatic like this, so an affair or anything along that line, or even a trauma of their own, how would you take a couple, or what tips would you give to maybe somebody that's listening right now to be able to take their relationship to that next level and become extraordinary, right? Nobody goes through life. You don't enter a relationship thinking like, well, this is going to be pretty ordinary. I'm good with that, right? You enter in with this anticipation, this expectation, right? And then as time goes on, we get comfortable, more and more comfortable when those expectations aren't met, right? And that's where what you're talking about, setting boundaries and what are you okay with, what are you not okay with. So what would you say, what advice would you give to couples if they're to get them to that extraordinary level?
I coach couples to actually create their relationship. So, I mean, I could give you advice all day long, but unless you're actively creating your relationship, it doesn't make sense for me to tell you anything. If you're not going to be responsible for how you feel, number one, then when it comes time to forgive, like when it comes time to apologize, well, I'm not going to apologize for that. I've got, being right. There's nothing extraordinary about that.
Yeah.
There's nothing extraordinary about being right. What is extraordinary is to apologize when you hurt somebody. So the example here is, and to answer your question, the example here is we actually do have a couple, in fact, where they have been together 20 years. There's no fire left. There's no juice. They're just bickering with each other all the time. And I said, you guys are in a relationship. It's time to dissolve it. You need to dissolve your relationship, and then you need to establish your own sovereignty. And when you discover a new boundary, instead of getting pissed off, which is what we do, we go into piss off. Instead of getting pissed off, simply communicate your boundary. Hey, what you just did, that hits a boundary for me. So first it's communication. Like, how do I communicate what my boundaries are? And then without attacking each other, how do we then resolve that? Oftentimes, and this is the language that comes into play in our coaching, but oftentimes we don't even know how to tell someone, you just hit my boundary. Like, I just realized it. I'm sorry, but I got to share it with you.
Yeah.
So the number one thing that I want to lift up here is that we're human beings. Like, we have this frontal cortex that allows us to have like really conscious thought. So we've got to be able to communicate that to our beloved in a way that's like an adult conversation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like, and our beloved have to be able to accept us saying those things. I think that's the other component of it. You can't, if you're on the other end of that, it's like, well, shit, okay, I didn't know, or, not becoming angry or thinking, well, you're just overthinking it or you're overreacting. Because I think that's a lot of times what we'll hear in couples. You're being too sensitive to this, to that, right? It's like, hey,
projection.
I'm speaking my fucking truth. Like, you're going to listen to it, me or not. And if not, we're not allowed to have an extraordinary relationship, it seems. So on to the next.
Right. It's both people being able to sit back and go, okay, so there's some training involved. So here's a perfect example of this. When my beloved and I have something that we have to share with each other, that's like, whoa, okay. I'll give you an example. One of the things that my beloved has that is it's a real boundary for me is her tone. And so what we discovered was that rather than attacking her, if I detect tone, I'll just say tone. No, this is a solution, by the way. So I'll just say tone, and she'll just sit back and she'll go tone, and I'll go, yeah, tone. And she'll go, oh. And she doesn't recognize that when she hits a tone that it's happening. So I'm just saying mirror tone. For me, mine is tone, but it's more like mean.
Okay.
So she'll go mean, and I'll go mean, and she'll go mean. Now here's what's extraordinary about that. She'll say tone, I'll say tone, and she'll say, I'm sorry. And then I'll say, I forgive you. Thank you. And then she'll say, thank you. And we just return to love.
Okay.
Normal relationships, that looks like a fight.
Or that shit drags out for months and sometimes years, and you never bring it up. So I love that. And I love the one word too. And it's like, so I'm curious, when you came up with this method, was it a sit down? Like, did you discuss this together and come up with these code words, essentially is what I would call them?
Absolutely. And how that came about was, like I said, I've done a lot of work. So I reached back into my past, and in my past, I did a lot of work with Alison Armstrong. Now, I don't know if you know who Alison Armstrong is, but I promise you, if you'll find her online, she has a program called understandingmen.com, and she has a Queen's Code program, which is absolutely fabulous. I recommend every woman take it. And she has a few for men. And I did the men's programs, and as many of the women's programs that I could be in, I was involved in. She does have like couples programs, and I did them all. And I got to tell you, she produced this protocol for having a blow up a conversation, like having a hard conversation, which she calls blow it up. I'm sorry, forgive me. She calls cough it up, blow it up, clean it up. So I utilize this. And I actually do incorporate it into my programs. And I give full credit to Alison Armstrong for having taught me that, because she is the genius behind it. Now, cough it up, blow it up, clean it up is a way for you to be able to speak your truth inside of a container that doesn't allow, it doesn't allow for this like meandering around. In cough it, there's several rules, but I'll give you two.
Okay.
The first rule is one cough up at a time, and right, and only one person coughing up at a time.
I like it.
That's the first rule.
Yeah.
The second rule is you deal with the problem at hand. English, Michael, do you speak it? You deal with one problem at hand and not the past. Your past is irrelevant.
Yeah. If you didn't bring it up in the past, your time has passed.
You can only deal with this one.
Yeah.
You can use the past as an example. Well, you've done this before, but you can't bring that past into the argument or into the conversation. So when you cough it up, it's very simply, you're coughing up what it is. You said this, and I feel that. Your blow it up can be a really harsh conversation. It can be like, yeah, and this, and you may find yourself with the yeah buts. I call it a yeah but fight. Yeah, but, right? And it's back and forth.
Yeah.
But that's what the blow up portion is for. And it allows for you to be able to stay on task. And if you start to move off, you can refer to the rules. Hey, that's the past. Let's stick to what we're talking about. Oh, you're coughing up right now. Please stop coughing up. This is my turn. You can cough up next. Right? That kind of thing inside the blow up. But the best part of this is clean it up. This is where you actually can be extraordinary. This is where Lori and I learned how to have a word like tone, a word like mean. This is where you actually come to a really powerful solution that you both create. And so our creation of, for instance, tone. I said, well, how do we solve this problem? Because when you get a tone, I can't even talk to you. And she goes, she said, I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe just say tone. And that'll be like a keyword. And I went, okay, tone it is. And if you don't hear me, what do I do? And she says, well, you just stop the conversation and walk away. And I've had that happen before too. And I would go tone, tone, and I'm walking away. And so that's how we handle that when that happens. And so that was a solution that she and I created. And I can tell you, I've only had to do that one time where I walked away. And the rest of the time, it's usually like in moments where keyword, I'm sorry, forgive me, I forgive you, I love you. We're right back to love. And usually we complete it with an embrace.
Yeah.
Because that's what's going to release the oxytocin back into your body. Some therapists don't agree with makeup sex. However, I'm not one of them. I'm not a therapist, but I'm not one of those people who advocate against it. But I also believe that you should schedule it. Like if you're going to have makeup sex, don't just drop into each other's arms and create this, because you can create a chemical dependence where cortisol, oxytocin, and then you downregulate the cortisol. Next thing you know, you're in this. Don't do that. Schedule it for the next day, where you're going to really come together in a different manner, in an extraordinary way. Plan it with, I'm sorry, I love you, and come back together and really have an amazing experience of orgasm, love, and kink if you're into that.
Yeah, I love that. That's so good. And in my therapy experience, and I have found that I was once working with somebody that would literally start fights with their partner because they knew they were going to have makeup sex. So I can see where those therapists would be against it. Yeah, but it's if you're doing it in the quote unquote healthy way, then we're both advocates for more sex, so we're on board.
I want extraordinary sex. I don't know about you. I like the exceptional experiences of. I like the idea of being able to be there as my beloved opens herself. And it's such an amazing thing. This is one of the reasons that I really fell in love with women, is because I began to discover how open women are and how big the heart is inside of a woman, and the love that pours out is just amazing. So what I also discovered was when I said how terrible at sex I was, that women have a particular need. Women, I feel like, have three things that they need in order to really feel like that opening. So do you mind if I share that?
Yeah, please.
Women need to feel safe, seen, and adored.
I like that.
If you want to open a woman, men, this is specifically to men.
Listen up.
If you want to open a woman, she needs to feel safe, she needs to feel seen, and she needs to be adored. It's just that simple. And you can create that through environment. You can create that through the way you touch her. You can create that through the way you speak to her. I recommend that you become extraordinary. Create mantras that you say to your beloved while making love to her. One of my favorite mantras is, pleasure is your birthright.
Love that.
And my beloved's like,
like, yes, say it again. Say it again.
Pleasure is your birthright. And throw a little seduction in with it, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I love it. Oh gosh, so many good tips. So really, people just getting in the habit, and that would probably go for both partners, these different mantras and whatnot. So if you're speaking from the male perspective, what do you feel like it is that men need for women to feel that same openness or that same sense of connection?
Women kind of do this automatically in the way that if a woman is verbally expressive, oh, that feels good. And also women can inside of their lovemaking make suggestions and requests. For instance, and this is the strange thing that I see happen in relationships that can cause a fuss, where a woman will say, "Oh, slower, move, make an adjustment of some sort," and the guy will be like, he'll contract and feel like he's not good enough. And I think there's some training that exists, and this is part of our training. This is part of what we do in our immersive programs. That is to teach men and women how to actually have that communication during sex. We call it seduction as a team sport. So it's important that you be able to seduce throughout, before, during, and after the sexual experience.
Yeah.
And seduction, it really is a back and forth. So what women do that's so amazing is the sounds you make, the sounds of pleasure that are emoted, that are created. The way that you'll look into, like, men, if you just hold the vision of her face and she'll look right at you, and that's her being seen. That's what I mean by she wants to be seen.
Yeah.
How women can make men feel amazing is every time you make that noise and you say, "Oh, this is so good. You are so good." Like, that is it's so simple,
Yeah.
right? Grabbing his shoulders and going, "I love your shoulders. I love the way that you penetrate me." You can say those kinds of things. Those are great mantras to create for yourself and really discover what they are. And then if you make requests or corrections, men, instead of contracting, what she's giving you is data. And so what you can do is you can say, "Thank you."
Yeah, it's like we're literally handing over the playbook. So don't take it as criticism. Take it as, like, we're wanting more pleasure and we're wanting it from you. And that's what my program teaches women to do, is to be able to learn their body enough, figure out what feels best for them, and to then be able to communicate that to their partners, because there's so much power behind that. Everybody wants more pleasure in their life, right? But everybody, well, not everybody, but so many people are scared to tell people what is pleasurable for them.
Right. Well, how about this? I also teach men's courses. I have a course called Just Add Skill, which has been converted now. It's called Extraordinary Lovers for Men. It's a coaching program that I put together. One of the first things that I teach men is to slow down. Slow way down. Slow down more than you think your slow down is. Like, if you're slowed down and you're like, "Oh, that's really good," no, slow down more.
Yeah.
Take your time. Really, really accentuate every movement, every breath, accentuate it all. Your tones, your vocal tones, slow everything down. And then when she starts to make those sounds, continue your pace. What men do is, when we start to hear the, "Oh, that's so good," then we start going faster. Well, that's not what she's moaning about, is the faster.
Yeah, it's the
She's
current.
moaning about what's actually happening in that moment. So keep that pace and stay at it that way, the exact same way you're going. Then the next thing to know is that as you're moving through that experience, there's going to be an evolution through her orgasm. So you need to be conscious of that, conscious of what the orgasm feels like, sounds like, and looks like in her face and her body. And the number one thing that women say that they want from men, the number one thing, I've done surveys, like over 100 women I asked, hey, what's the number one thing that makes sex like a level 10 experience?
Yeah.
and women say presence.
Mm.
So, like I said, women need to feel safe, seen, and adored.
Yeah.
You being present as a man is like you're like a shaman. It's like you're a warlock or something. It just takes you into a whole nother world, and it allows you to hold space for her. Masculine, you can be masculine in this sense, and women love that. They need that. They crave that from you. So I think I'm off topic a little bit, but
no, this is all good.
But what I'm really trying to communicate is men are we're wired that way. We're hardwired to do some of the things that I've already shared with you. We just need practice.
Yeah.
And we need someone to kind of like, okay, what you did was perfect. And she said that do it that way, continue to do it that way. And you're going to pay attention throughout the entire experience.
Yeah.
That's your presence part.
Gosh, this was so good. And I know that you mentioned that you're just now launching a new program, and I think that you are the perfect person because in my market research and the coaching that I do, I primarily work with women at this time. And I know one thing that you've ran into in your work is that the women always say, oh, my partner needs this, my partner needs this. And the partners you go to them and then they're like, nah, I'm good. And so now all these people listening today know that you are out there, know that you're available. And so if they were wanting to send their partner your way or reach out to you, how can they find you?
Social media is probably the easiest place to find me. I have two places that I want to make it really simple for people.
Sure.
One is on Instagram at michaelgibson.elc. ELC stands for Extraordinary Love Coach. So it's at michaelgibson.elc. And then the other place is on Facebook and just about everywhere else. If you just type in Extraordinary Lovers, you'll find me. You'll find our offerings there. We have a private Facebook group, which is it's not just for our graduates. We have tons of graduates already, but we also allow anybody in there. So if you're interested in becoming an extraordinary lover, just send us a request.
Awesome.
And we'll definitely let you in. We're not hiding from anybody. We don't have any like cultic practices.
Yeah.
We really enjoy sharing with people the possibility for extraordinary love.
Yeah.
And we're really excited because we know that we don't know what that means. It's created.
Yeah. I love that.
Extraordinary love is created.
And it's going to be, and as you said already, it's going to be different for each of the couples. So when I asked you, what is the outline, that looks different for everybody. And so to the people listening and thinking of entering this, the bottom line is you got to do the work, and you got to be open to do the work, and you got to be open to feel the emotions and feel the hurt that's going to come up and feel the pleasure that's going to come up, Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, it is definitely, thank you for saying that, because that's exactly it. You have to do the work. I cannot do your push-ups for you.
I wish.
I wish I could. But you're not going to get any benefit out of it.
I know.
So yeah, and there are practices that we put in place. It's when I talk about things like Tantra and shamanism, and I use I've coined a phrase, which is, I believe there's goddess in every woman. When I say those things, people think that I'm very woo, and I'm not. I'm really very scientifically based. A lot of what I teach has its basis in science, and we know that if we do this, here's the result, right? So when I say shamanism, I mean it in the sense that it's a practice. What's cool about a shaman, if you think about this, by the way, I'm just telling you what you get when you come to us.
Yes.
When you think about what it is to be a shaman, you have to realize that this is like the guy in the tribe or the woman in the tribe who knows things. They just know things, right? They know which herbs are good for medicine, which herbs are not good for medicine, which are poisonous. They know, the medical things, all the things. But they do that because not only have they studied, but they practiced. And shamanism means practice. So when you come to us, there will be practices that you have to incorporate into your life that are different from what you've always done.
Yeah.
And if you're not willing to practice, if you're not willing to be in that shamanic realm, then it's probably best for you to just go ahead and continue being ordinary.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to say it.
Boom.
That way,
yeah.
that's what it takes to be extraordinary.
Tell them. Yeah. It's hard work.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gosh. Well, thank you. And we will definitely, or I will definitely share your social media handles and all the things in the show notes. So if anybody didn't catch that, they'll be in there so you can click and see there. So any closing advice before we wrap this up? I feel like I don't even know if I should say that because that was just a mic drop right there.
No, I think we'll leave it with that.
Yeah.
I do want to say thank you, Rachel, for having me on. I really appreciate you. I love you. I love experiencing you.
Oh, thanks.
You are an amazing woman and brilliant. And so thank you so much for having me on. And I look forward to being in the play space with you in life.
I can't wait. Yes, I'm so happy that the universe brought us together, and it sounds like hopefully one day next year we'll be able to meet up in Austin as the group. So that that will be exciting.
Looking forward to it.
Yes. Thank you so much for listening today and helping me change the world by spreading sex positive awareness. If you love the show, please subscribe so you never miss an episode and leave a review for others to see. If you want to see me on the daily, you can find me on Facebook and Instagram under Rachel Main, or check out my Linktree website in the show's bio for direct links to all my pages. You can also shop my Pure Romance store or become a Pure Romance business owner yourself by visiting pureromance.com/RachelUC. Thank you again so much. Until next week, go out there and own your sexual self.